Hi, and welcome to the Get Total Wealth podcast. It's gettotalwealth.com podcast, and I'm here with my special guest, Rob Trigg of Jet Lending, who
Appreciate it.
Yeah, who he and his team have helped. Is it safe to say thousands and thousands?
Well, in December, we went over 3,000 total loans.
Wow,
Now
3,000 loans, all different types though.
Yes.
But he has helped a huge number of people get into investing with his hard money financing and, of course, conventional loans. You're even doing commercial loans as well. Just learned that as well on the radio show. If you're not familiar with our radio show, we also podcast that. It's the gettotalwealth.com radio show. And I want to start, though, with something that Rob has a lot of input on. It was this morning I was talking to an individual who was, and I'm just going to say it, they're bitching and moaning about their life and their money and, just complaining. And I asked what he was doing. And he goes, well, I work my job, and I don't want to give away the job or because it might hurt the guy's feelings or find out who it was. But he wasn't doing anything. He's, when you play Monopoly and you just go around the board collecting $200, you're going to lose. He wasn't buying any he hasn't bought any income producing assets. In fact, when I asked him if it was even on his radar, no. You know what he proceeds to tell me? That he's about to buy a new truck.
Oh.
I'm like,
well, that's important.
That's important, but he knows more about buying his next truck than he does his next investment. That's not the right way to live.
No.
You want to know more about your investments than you do the truck you're going to buy. So you have a little comment about that I thought was just hilarious.
Well, it's a comment that's commonly goes around our office. I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas. I love it. I tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas. And I've got to give Alex Burak credit for that because he kind of coined it. But we laugh because we'll have people call us and complain about, well, did you try this? Well, no. Oh, well, maybe you should try that. Oh, well, I didn't think of that.
Well, they didn't think at all. That's the problem.
Yeah, they didn't think at all.
I was listening to Napoleon Hill the other day, who was literally his materials from 100 years ago. And he was talking about how most men don't think. Earl Nightingale made the same comment like 20 years later. And people aren't thinking. They're just getting up. They're going to work. They're coming home. They're going to sleep, getting up, going to work, coming home, going. They don't understand why they're living paycheck to paycheck because you're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
It's, again, playing Monopoly without buying any assets. You're never going to win.
I think investors are a rare breed, and like we said on the radio show, my wife she asked me the other day. She's like, "When is enough going to be enough? When are you going to slow down?" And I said, "Never. I don't ever want to stop." And we referenced and I sent her the little video clip of Wall Street 2, where Shia LaBeouf turns to I forget the guy's name that played Thanos. What's his name?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Anyway, he I guess he plays the bad guy in Wall Street 2, and he turns to him and says, "What's your number?" And he said, "I'm sorry." He said, "What's your number?"
What's his limit? Where's he going to stop?
Where's he going to stop? He said, "More."
And
it's not about a greed thing. It's more satisfying to help clients achieve financial freedom and get those phone calls that I talked to you about. Of a lady called me in tears a couple of weeks ago and said, "Rob, I owe you everything. You have changed my life completely." And I said, "Ma'am, you don't owe me anything. Just this phone call alone is enough reward." And she said, if I was with you right now, I would hug your neck. I said, "No, what you need to do is hug your husband's neck and tell him we're on our way to financial freedom." She's got a big rehab ahead of her, but she's going to make a ton of money when it's done. It's going to be an Airbnb. Her plan is perfect, beautiful. She's got people helping her. She's got Jet Lending in her corner. We're going to take care of her and make sure that she is on the right path.
See, I used to feel like that there should be a number. You should get what you need and quit. But the problem is, like, and I hope this is a good analogy. It's when the bear went over the mountain.
Yeah.
What did he see? A bigger mountain. So he goes and climbs that one, and he gets over that one. He sees a bigger mountain. That's the point. You don't reach a point where you want to stop. And people have this misconception that that's the goal. They want to retire. That's the term that a lot of companies use. I'm going to teach you how to retire. Who cares? I retired at 30. It sucked.
Yeah.
6 months into it, I went back to work because I didn't know why I was here anymore. I was like, you can only sip so many Mai Tais. You can only golf so much. You can only fish so much. And you start wondering, why am I here? And you've got 21 years in the military. You remember, I'm sure, you're always looking out for your buddy.
Yeah.
When you're out there by yourself doing nothing, you're like, where's my buddy?
Yeah.
Who am I looking out for? And there's no reward.
And that's how I treat every one of my clients. Like they're my battle buddy in the foxhole. I tell them, I treat them like family because I want you to be successful. Because if you're successful, I'm going to be successful. I want you to not retire. I want you to achieve financial freedom.
Exactly.
That way you'll tell everybody, Rob changed my life. If you go out there singing my graces and saying I'm the best thing that's ever walked, there's more people that want to do business, and that grows the investor community in a healthy way,
right?
Instead of a non-healthy way where we have predators and people that will take advantage of you. I mean,
and there are predator lenders out there, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt. Okay, so to summarize, life's goal is not to a finish line.
No.
There is no finish line until you die.
Yeah.
Between now and then, you need to be raising your expectations, raising your goals, constantly educating and growing, because the opposite is stagnation. And you said it, you hate stagnation.
Oh, I hate it. I can't stand it. I can't sit still. My wife is, I love my wife to death, and she's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. That is bar none truth. I told her, I was like, look, I'm trying to get us to a point that when our kids get to a certain age, that maybe they're at financial freedom too.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, you just go do your thing.
That's about how my wife was. She wanted to know what I was doing and what my goals were. But even as crazy as some of my goals were, she always was supportive, and that is invaluable.
Yeah. Well, the thing that changed my life more than anything was when I met her. I had goals, but they weren't the goals that I wasn't on the right path.
Gotcha.
She keeps me on the straight and narrow.
Nice.
And now you got kids and you got all these other responsibilities. It changes your outlook on life, and you're like, okay, well, I don't want my kids to have to go to the Army. I mean, if they want to.
Unless they want to.
Great.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to have to make those choices. I want them to have a better life than I did.
The way that I put it is, I don't want my kids suffering with the same fears and insecurities about money that I did. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was miserable. That from between age 18 and 27, it was awful. I was constantly worried about money. Where was it going to come from? Are they going to fire me? Are they going to cut my pay? And they eventually did. And I don't want my kids to suffer like that.
No.
The next thing I want to talk about is, let's go directly into hard money lending. I always use the example of a little house I bought in Katy, Texas. And if I'd have used a conventional loan, it would have been $67,000 out of pocket and about a 8% rate of return.
Yeah.
Because of your hard money loans, I was able to get into that deal for $20,000 and get a 24% rate of return. So if you would explain to the viewer exactly how a hard money loan works.
So hard money works loans off of a future value. Most conventional lenders, if you're buying it straight out conventional, they're going to be 20% a loan to cost, or there are some hard money lenders that are a loan to cost as well.
Right.
Jet lending is a little bit different. We're a true loan to value hard money lender. That means we'll lend 70% of your after repair value, and that's all in, including the repairs, and if there's anything left over, it goes towards your acquisition. So that's basically how hard money works. And now there are lenders out there that say, we can go 8, 9, 10%, 8 or 9%, but they're loan to cost, meaning you're going to be 20% out of pocket.
Right.
Up front. So what they'll do is 80% of the purchase price, 100% of repairs, or 75% of ARV, which no matter what, you're still going to be out of pocket on those deals.
Yeah, and a much larger sum than you would if you used a hard money loan. And there's the potential for an actual zero down loan on occasion.
Yes.
The example I'll give you is if you can buy a house that's got an ARV of $200,000, if you can buy it and rehab it for $140,000, they'll give you 100% of that 140. That's zero out of pocket. Well, you'd have your closing costs. That's it in that scenario.
Well, I mean, if you bought it for, let's say, 130,
yeah.
Well, I mean, your total loan was going to be 130, but we can lend 140, and that rolls.
That would cover your closing costs.
That would cover your closing costs,
and that'd be a true zero down deal.
And be honest with you, I have 5 to 10 deals a month where people are actually getting zero out of pocket at Jet Lending.
Man, that's phenomenal.
Well, I mean, everybody's like, that's impossible. That's impossible. In this market, that's impossible. No, it's not.
It's not.
And it's just, and I want to go back to what we've initially talked about as far as I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas.
Yeah.
If you're sitting, and no offense to anybody that's listening, or if you're sitting behind a computer waiting on an email to come into your inbox in order to find a deal, you're already not an investor. You're an inbox delivery person. I mean, you've got to actually put in work. You've got to actually get your name out there if you want to be an investor and let people know, hey, I'm buying houses.
Yeah.
You've got to get into the community that you want to be in. You've got to penetrate it. I'll tell you an interesting story. I was an Army recruiter. I was the best at my station. First year, gold badge recruiter. I know you probably don't know what that means, but I achieved it in 4 months. Nobody had ever done that.
Wow.
I mean, I was quick. I was making it happen. I was hustling. Kids liked me. I was young in my early 30s. The kids at the schools liked me because I could still talk their lingo now. If I went to school, to high school now. Anyway, long story short, I was in we took a bunch of small stations, made them into one mega station up in Longview, Texas. First day that we did this, we got a brand new station commander. He comes in and he draws a circle, a small circle and a big circle. There's a bunch of schools inside that small circle. He gives them to some of the newer recruiters. Said, I need y'all to, these are the ones you're going to work. And he never mentioned my name during this. And I'm like, wait, those are my schools. I was assigned those schools. And finally he draws this a big circle, and there's 25 schools in that whole circle. He said, Rob, you're now responsible for all 25 of those schools. And I'm like, these are all rural areas. And I'm like, that's it. I was like, well, what did I do to deserve this? I'm going to have to drive and travel. But he's like, I need my best guy to penetrate every one of these schools. And after the meeting, I walked in his office and said, can we talk? He said, sure. He's like, I was like, what did I do to deserve this? He's like, you're the best recruiter. That's what you did to deserve this. He's like, don't think of this as I'm punishing you. He's like, what I want you to do is go do what you did at these schools in those, because they haven't been penetrated. I took it and I called my dad, and he said, Rob, quit being that guy and go do it. And I did.
Just freaking do it.
One of the schools, we had never pulled a senior out of there in like 10 years. That first year, I pulled 4 seniors.
Wow.
That's just one of them. And those the teachers and everybody at that school still to this day call me and check on me.
Wow, that's cool.
You should do that in your real estate. Penetrate those areas that you want to invest in. Because if you're sitting back letting somebody else do it, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah, I can go in and say, how many wholesalers are you working with and how many agents are you working with? Mm-hmm. And a person goes 2 or 3. I'm going, you're not finding deals, are you? Then the guy next to him or the gal next to him goes, I'm working with 30 of each. You're finding deals, aren't you? Yes. You got to hustle. It's
gotta
work,
hustle. It's work.
but it's a highly rewarding work.
And it's fun.
It is fun.
Get out in the community, meet people, shake their hands, go have a drink with them.
How
knock on
about
doors.
sitting on with a family and stopping a foreclosure?
Yeah.
These people are about to be foreclosed on. Look, I can stop the foreclosure and give you money to move and get you in an apartment. Does that sound like a good deal? Yes, it does. I've had people cry and hug me because they were going to go bankrupt, and I stopped it.
Or even lease it back to them.
Yeah, on occasion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's very rewarding. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about, let me give you Rob's email. It's rob@jetlending.com. If you've got a question for him, because we ran through acronyms, we ran through points, we ran through all kinds of ideas. If one or two of those ideas didn't make sense to you,
I'd be glad to sit down and talk to him.
give him a call.
Anytime.
And we'll reach out to him by email first, rob@jetlending.com, rob@jetlending.com. If you've got a question for me, it's asksteve@gettotalwealth.com, asksteve@gettotalwealth.com. All right, I want this one to be short and sweet. I think we got the information out that we need to. I really appreciate it, Rob, and we'll see you on the podcast again in the future.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It.